Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight, the Chamber of Commerce offers to spearhead NHI discussions. Public and private healthcare professionals gather for a one-day NHI workshop. When we might see vital benefits kick in for NHI, a wealthy political donor unsure which party he will support, and of course, we check out this week's cutest kids and pets. I'm Paige McCartney. We've got those stories and more straight ahead on NB12 Weekend. Welcome once again to NB12. If private healthcare stakeholders want the government's ear in the national health insurance debate, they will have to approach the matter with a unified front. That's coming from the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation, which is offering to spearhead talks with government the way it did with discussions on value-added tax. Chamber CEO Edison Sumner, who said the water is murky surrounding the concerns about NHI because there are too many different silos approaching government with their own specific concerns.
We tried that with VAT and it failed, right? And that was one of the impetus behind the creation of the Coalition for Responsible Taxation, where we were able to pull together essentially every major industry in the country to give them a singular voice so that they express their concern in the CRT meetings, and the leadership of the CRT took that position to the government. For us to get any kind of advancements now with NHI, we have to take the same approach, right? We have to perhaps even dial some things back, because what we're seeing now is we have now up to 3 different medical groups who are approaching the government on their own individual concerns, and the concerns that they have are not all lining up.
The Bahamas Insurance Association and Insurance Brokers Association have been vocal about their concerns regarding the cost and feasibility of NHI, as well as the impact it would have on the industry. And this week, private healthcare professionals formed an alliance demanding government respect their concerns, which include patient overload, benefits payouts from government, and infrastructural improvements to public health facilities. All private healthcare providers have also lamented lack of meaningful consultation leading up to the implementation of NHI. Sumner said all these concerns are legitimate and raised further worries of the business community.
Are we looking at a payroll tax at some stage? And if that is the case, what is it going to be? When is it going to be implemented? Because then you're going to be now relying on the employers that the chamber represents to collect this tax on behalf of the government, right? So for us in the NHI debate right now, there are still a number of things that are outstanding. I mean, I know the government has moved ahead with its registration. We're concerned that the registration process has even begun before the legislation has even been reviewed by those in private sector industry. And we're told that it's coming to us in a few days, so we're looking forward to reviewing that. But it's important for us, and we talked about this before, that we can approach NHI the way we did VAT with a singular voice out of the private sector.
But Sumner said he agrees with Prime Minister Perry Christie's position that he's more likely to focus on a consolidated response from the private sector.
We're going to make a call and an appeal again to all the other stakeholders in the private sector, the medical fraternity, the insurers who we already have a fantastic working relationship with, to let's all come together, right? And let us put together what we did, and I keep referring to VAT because that system worked extremely well. Let's use a similar model, put the ideas together, let's build a Gantt chart, a spreadsheet, whatever the issues are, and present them to the government.
Well, scores of private and public health sector physicians and other healthcare professionals gathered at the Paul Farquharson Conference Center at Police Headquarters this morning for a one-day National Health Insurance Workshop, where Prime Minister Perry Christie was expected to address a number of queries industry professionals have about the new scheme. The Prime Minister was not in attendance. However, Minister of National Security Dr. Bernard Nottage shared his experiences in the medical sector with those in attendance.
I want you to know how honored I am to have this opportunity to speak with so many of you about such an important issue at such a critical time. I don't know what Churchill would have said. All I know is in this room are the people who must come up with the solution, who can solve the problem, and who, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 15 years from now, of you it will be said that you did a good thing.
Nygaard also said this about public discourse over the matter of universal health care over the past few weeks.
I was always a little apprehensive about this capitation thing. And I know that's one of the problems right now. Listen here. I understand that. So please, let's get it right, Dr. Francis. This thing about capitation. Let's get the figure right. And let the figure be a figure that is reasonable. And let us get a reasonable return for whatever that figure is. And if we could do it today, well, not we, because I'm not going to be here. But if you all can do it today, do it today. If you can't do it today, let's stick with it until you can do it.
While the National Health Insurance Secretariat has said it will make the draft National Health Insurance Bill, which does not define the critical vital benefits package, available for public consumption in the coming days. However, speaking to NB12 earlier this week during the 2016 Bahamas Business Outlook seminar, Prime Minister Perry Christie said the cost of the package has been estimated at about $700 million and spoke of a possible phased approach.
This is where you reach the stage that they were pricing at $600–700 million for that total thing, and that we were talking about 2 phases of introducing the vital package. But it's a matter that will all come through discussions and collaboration, because all of us are together and we want to be able to introduce something that can be used as a model for the rest of the world where there's private insurers.
The Vital Benefits Package is the first tax-funded stage of NHI. Guardian Business has learned that the doctors asked to provide the healthcare services are unable to accurately judge their ability to give those services for the $212 capitation rate that has been proposed. As such, one of the ongoing points of contention in the debate over NHI is the definition of that package. Christie was asked to define the package, and this was his response.
So the vital benefits package will be the ability to cover people in the diseases, and it is something that, again, we want to be able to have.
While the bill lays out a framework for the composition of the NHI authority and how doctors and private health insurers would fit into the NHI scheme, the bill does not contain a requirement that citizens and lawful residents be enrolled in national health insurance, known as a mandate. Without a mandate, the administration is betting on the attractiveness of the scheme in order to generate enrollment. Shifting gears in news from the police, a male employee of Linden Pinling International Airport was arrested yesterday afternoon in connection with the seizure of a quantity of dangerous drugs. Reports are that at around 1 p.m., airport authority security officers conducted a routine search of a water truck driven by the suspect at the entrance of the ramp at LPIA and uncovered 4.5 ounces of cocaine hidden inside that truck. The police were notified and the suspect was arrested and taken into custody. And then take a look at this man. Police say he's 22-year-old Burchanel Martin of Blue Hill Road North. He's wanted for questioning in connection with several complaints of stealing from vehicles. He's described as medium brown in complexion, of medium build, and standing as tall as 5 feet 8 inches tall or shorter. If you know this man, Burchanel Martin, or his whereabouts, police want you to contact Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS or 242-300-TIPS, toll-free from the Family Islands. Well, as calls increase for campaign finance reform, one controversial designer who has admitted to financing the campaigns of candidates in the 2012 election says he's currently deciding who will have his financial support going into the 2017 election season. In an interview with NB12 this week, Peter Nygaard was open about his hurdles and what he's experiencing with stem cell research in the Bahamas and questions surrounding his loyalty to Prime Minister Perry Christie. Here's Kyle Joaquin with the story.
Nygaard said it's no secret that he's been a huge supporter of Prime Minister Perry Christie's, but as we get closer and closer to the 2017 general election, he said he's looking around to see who he can fully support this go around.
I'm supportive of the man, whether he's got a prime minister in front of it or he's Perry Christie. I've been a supporter of his for 35 years. I'm a supporter of him because he's just a good man, He's a well-meaning good man, and these good men are hard to find.
Nygaard said he's been calling the Bahamas his home for 40 years now. He said he threw his support behind Christie in 2012 because he's a nice guy. Since then, Parliament has passed stem cell legislation, a move for which Nygaard has been a strong advocate. However, he said there have been far too many roadblocks he and the government have faced.
Fortunate political roadblocks here who want to see the Prime Minister fail. And when it comes to these kind of issues, there's no room for politics in a business like this. This is for the welfare of this country, welfare of the Bahamian people, and to start playing politics with this kind of issue is really, really sad testimonial, And I have a lot of problems with that.
Nygaard said he thought stem cell research in the Bahamas would be the legacy of the Prime Minister, but it was his admission to financially assisting certain candidates in the 2012 elections that raised a few concerns. So we asked Nygaard if he would be giving financial support to any candidates this go around.
I don't know yet. I'm looking at the other options as to who I would support, and what they stand for. At this point, it's all up for grabs. I have no idea who I would support and if I would support anybody. I never wanted to be in politics in the first ever. I'm forced to be in it because that's how the system works. From every time I came in the first moment on there, people were at my place with their hand out, and they've been with their hand out and I guess I said, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans. I guess if that's the way we play the game, that's the way to play the game. So
Nygaard admitted that although Christie is his friend, he has a lot of work to do if he wants to win the next election, and just talking won't help.
Maybe he'll be the best option, in spite of his flaws, and I guess we all have them, and I'm critical of his flaws as well as everybody else's. But at the end of the day, if he's got the energy and he's got the health, and he can get things done right now, because to win that election, he's going to have to do a lot of things right now. Not just say it, but do it.
There are three things the Prime Minister has been fighting to get on track over recent months: crime, national health insurance, and Bahamar. Nygaard said he's encouraging the Prime Minister to get a handle on those things and only put his hat in the race if he's sure of a victory. Reporting for NB12 Weekend, I'm Kyle Joaquin.